Welcome to my 211th video on my work with OO gauge. This will be a fairly brief one, covering adding some loads to open wagons, some kit built, some ready to run. At the end of my previous video on LNWR locomotives inherited by the LMS, I tried to run a kit-built model of a Prince of Wales class loco with a little freight train made up of a couple of private owner wagons that I'd built from Slater's kits and 3 similar wagons that I bought ready to run. And the running wasn't very successful, as the wagons, especially the kit-built ones, had a nasty tendency to derail. I was fairly sure that this was mainly because the wagons were just too light. Ready-to-run wagons almost always come with some sort of metal plate built into the chassis to add weight, if the chassis itself isn't metal. But the Slater's kits didn't really offer any easy way to build weight into the wagons. There really wasn't anywhere to put weight. And with the all-plastic wagons weighing next to nothing, they just tended to jump off the rails in response to the slightest sideways pull as the train went round a curve, or little bump as they went over a point or something similar. So I figured that I'd better add loads to these wagons. That would be appropriate anyway, although certainly private owner wagons did sometimes have to be moved in trains without loads. Naturally they were moved with loads whenever possible, and of course moving loads was their purpose. And if I put loads into the wagons, I could easily put whatever weight I wanted to in under the loads. Although the problem was worst with the 2 kit-built wagons, I figured that whilst I was at it, I would add loads to all of the wagons in this train. So I took them all down to my workbench on a tray, except for the brake van, of course. That already had sufficient weight anyway. Here are all of the wagons on the bench before I started working on the loads. They're a mixed bunch, but I think they go together quite well. I thought that I would use coal loads for the wagons where that was clearly appropriate, and some sort of stone or ore load for the other wagons. I had this Woodland Scenics talus rock debris in a number of grades on hand. This 3-plank wagon was the shallowest. I had thought at first of putting something like a crate into it, but seeing that the wagon belonged to a quarry, I decided to go with stone. Because this wagon was so shallow, I used lead tape to add some weight under the stone load. I cut 4 pieces of 1/2-inch lead tape, just shorter than the base of the wagon. Then I stuck those lengths of lead tape down, 2 on each side of the wagon on top of each other. The lead tape is self-adhesive with a peel-off backing. I actually bought it for adding weight to the heads of golf clubs. The lead tape sticks quite firmly, especially to itself. I smoothed the tape down on the bottom of the wagon. Those 4 lengths added quite a bit of weight to the wagon. Then I put some of the large rock debris into the wagon, sprayed with IPA to wet it, and then applied plenty of watered-down white glue with a pipette. The result looked a bit of a mess, but hopefully it will look much more sensible once the glue dries. For this thread gold wagon, the largest and deepest, I decided to use the finer rock debris for the load. As there was plenty of room in this wagon, I used a layer of No. 6 lead shot to add weight. Then I filled the wagon with the fine stone on top of the lead shot. And again I sprayed with IPA to wet and dripped in plenty of watered-down white glue. Again, rather messy looking immediately afterwards, but the glue will soak in and dry mostly transparent. I intended to put coal loads into the remaining 3 wagons, as they were all associated with collieries or coal merchants. Again, I added weight in the form of a layer of No. 6 shot, as the coal loads wouldn't really weigh much themselves. This was the coal that I used, Woodland Scenics lump coal. Even though it's called lump coal, it doesn't seem all that coarse to me. I filled the 3 wagons with the Woodland Scenics coal on top of the layer of lead shot, and again sprayed with IPA to wet and soaked with watered-down white glue. The loads looked all white at this point, but you won't see that white glue after it dries. Now I just needed to leave all of the wagons for a good long time to let the glue dry. And here they all are after the glue dried. Here's the one with the large stone and the first of the coal wagons. I'm not too sure if the glue will really hold those large stones in place well. Here are the other two coal wagons. Generally the glue will hold coal loads quite well, although the odd bit does sometimes flake off. And here's the largest wagon with the fine stone load. I got the wagons back onto my main Hornby layout behind the Bachmann Midland 1F half cab, and I gave them a run. If anything, they were a bit on the heavy side now, but they certainly ran on the rails much more stably. So here we have these wagons that I've put loads in now on the rails. That white stone seems to lead to virtual overexposure in most cameras. It's not really that white, it doesn't look it to me, but anyway. That's in the granite, what is it? I can't even pronounce it. Cereal Quarry, or whatever, granite, I don't know how you pronounce that. That's Thomas Pascoe, Swansea. Some sort of coal merchant, Princess Royal Colliery. And what's that one? Sutton Massey Colliery. They've all got coal in, and then we got the thread gold one on the back that's got finer stone or ore or something in it, and we got the LMS brake van on the back. And on the front we've got the Midland one, the Bachmann Midland 1F, Midland 1F half cab. Perhaps a bit uncomfortable for the crew, but rather pretty looking. Okay. Now this of course is a much heavier train than it used to be. It used to be a very lightweight train, now it's a rather heavy train. I might have overdone the weight a bit because I put a layer of lead into all of these. Lead tape in the front one and lead shot in the others. But anyway, let's see. The idea, of course, is that this is going to make them run more stably on the rails. That's a large part of it, apart from the issue of appearance. Especially the kit-built ones, the sort of second and third ones were very prone to derailing before, because they were just so light on the rails that any little side-to-side pull or wobble caused their wheels to come off the rails. Because really, other than putting a load in them, it was, I don't know how you'd have possibly put weight into them. The way the kit was designed, there wasn't really any way designed in to put weight into the base. A lot of wagons, when you buy them, commercial ready-to-made wagons, have a kind of metal plate in the base to give them some weight. I mean, most of them do, basically. It's not as much weight as these have got in, because it's just a sort of bit of a steel plate and a great layer of lead, but still. Anyway, there we go. Now they're going round, and hopefully they look better, and they won't be so prone to derailing, we hope. I'm slowing them down even further here. It's not always easy to stop them since I've got no stop detente on my controller, but there we go. So I think that was worth doing. I think they're a more useful set of wagons now that they've got their loads in them.